Hi folks, it's Mark here with Highland Outdoor Stoves. I'm going to show you how easy it is to replace a fan on a HeatMasterss G-Series stove. Okay, first you're going to have to, on the 2020 models, remove this shroud that goes around the fan. Depending on the model you have, you might have this and you might not. So you can skip this step if your stove does not have this shroud. So to remove it, you'll have a clip on this side and a clip on the other side. You just unclip the clips and it pops off. Now that we have the fan removed, you will also need to remove the power plug so that the fan will come free. Once you remove the power plug, do a quarter turn and pull the fan out. Once removed, we'll take it to a flat surface and we'll go from there. Okay, once you have the fan removed from the stove, this is what it looks like right here. You'll spin the shaft. You can see how it's pretty dirty. We'll take a 1-inch putty knife, or in this case I like to carry a gasket scraping tool, and you look down in there. Getting all the dirt. There's a 1/4 inch nut there, square drive nut. You can do one of two things. I have a 7/32 Allen wrench here that hooks to a socket, and I also have a 7/32 socket here, 6-point socket here that hooks in. That's how I like to do it. Remove it because I can use my impact wrench. You can also just take a 1/4 inch long drive and weld a T-handle and use that to remove it too. Let's go ahead and remove that wheel using this configuration. Clean the shaft off. Once you get that free, loose, you want to take and tap the shaft a little bit. Some come off easier than others. Well, this is a perfect example of one that's going to be a little stubborn coming off. So I'm going to take some penetrating oil and squirt it with some penetrating oil. Squirt the top. You can also squirt down the hole. Get that shaft well lubed, and so I've got a 1/4 inch drive punch here. I'm going to hold the wheel as best as I can. You might need 2 people, and just drive that shaft through. Okay, now it's off. That was a little bit harder than some of them I've taken off, but not the hardest. Sometimes you'll end up, if it gets too hard and fast there, you end up having to replace the wheel too. But in most cases, you can get away with just replacing the motor. So now that the wheel's off, we'll set it aside. And we've got the motor shaft and the housing. So this is where it's going to differ. Some of the fan assemblies on the different G-Series have different base plates. Some have just a piece of insulation that goes here. From 2020 on, this should be the base plate you're looking at, but you might just have to improvise with the base plates you have. So on this particular model, you will take your chisel and work it in there, and it just sort of snaps. This piece of metal just sort of snaps to this plate. Get that free, and now you have your motor hooked here. Now with a 9mm socket, you loosen up these 4 bolts. And the plate just slides off. Now I'm not going to replace this motor because it's good. It was working on my stove. I'm just gonna replace it all back the way it was. But basically, this is what you would get if you would buy just the motor. One thing you do want to be mindful of, I sort of did it on purpose. See how tight that shaft is? What happens is if you bump the bottom, it can end up tightening up the shaft. So what you're going to need to do is bend your capacitor out, and you'll need a Phillips screwdriver. Remove the cover off of the housing. In this case, sometimes what happens is this sort of assembly here goes down, but I don't think it's the case here. I'm going to take and just tap the shaft. And as you can see, it's spinning freely now. But now that that works well, we will put this housing back on. And you're ready to roll. So we'll reverse the process. Make sure you clean your fan wheel off before you put it back on. Clean it off with a scraper, or you can use compressed air whichever way works best for you. I had pulled the set screw all the way out so I could shoot some penetrating oil down there to get on the shaft. So I'm going to go ahead and install the set screw before it's on the housing. Now that the set screw's installed again, I will line up the flat part of the shaft to the set screw. And tap the wheel back. This is where you don't want to leave the bottom of the fan on a surface, or else you will push all that stuff back up like I had to loosen up. So I like to leave about that much space in. It looks like about 1/4 or 1/8 or 3/16 of an inch in between the fan wheel and the plate here. I'm going to set this down, grab my bit, and snug that up. You don't want that too crazy tight, or else you'll end up stripping out the wheel. Now let's go back to the stove and put this thing back on. Now your fan assembly is back attached to the stove. For the 2020 models, you will have to reattach the fan shroud. I have found that hooking this one up before you hook the other latch up works best. Push it in, snap it down. I usually make sure that it's not touching the fan too much, or else it'll make a squawking noise. Now, how easy was that? Feel free to subscribe to my channel, and I will be coming out with many more videos on upkeep on your HeatMasterss outdoor stoves. Thanks for watching.